happened in the 90s.
Both of the sitcoms we're covering, they lightly touch on the Chuck Cunningham syndrome, and it's a reference to another Happy Days character, and he's the older Cunningham brother. He was Richie's older brother, Ron Howard's older brother. And so Chuck, he went to college, if I'm not mistaken, and we just never hear about Chuck ever again. And there are a couple examples in the 90s sitcoms. I think the most popular one is Little Judy Winslow. She got sent upstairs, never came back down. So I love those TV tropes, man. Like another one I just came across is the Chuck Cunningham syndrome. And both of the sitcoms we're covering, they lightly touch on the Chuck Cunningham syndrome, and it's a reference to another Happy Days character, and he's the older Cunningham brother. He was Richie's older brother, Ron Howard's older brother. And he
He
went
had
off.
an older brother?
Yeah, it wasn't just him and Joni. And so Chuck, he went to college, if I'm not mistaken, and we just never hear about Chuck ever again. And there are a couple examples in the 90s sitcoms. I think the most popular one is Little Judy Winslow. She got sent upstairs, never came back down. We also have in Parenthood the brother Michael. Michael, like I don't think there's any explanation. Maybe he went away to like art school or something like that. But by the end of the series, like Michael is nowhere to be found. Same thing with Wendell. No phase on love. He just
Yeah, I was very disappointed. I remember you saying that he wasn't. I think the one that we watched last was the last episode he was ever in, and he went out like getting some play off a hottie, but
yeah.
come on. You can't just let Faison Love walk like that. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I guess it's they are either forced to do that for whatever reason. It seems like that's probably usually the case. Like maybe somebody's an asshole or they can't figure a contract out. So like, well, guess you're going to college and never coming back, you know?
Yeah. Like the mom on Unhappily Ever After, I think she like died and then came back. And then like the next time she went away, they just explained it as like she found a lesbian lover. And yeah, yeah, dude. And then in Step by Step, I think the youngest brother, Brandon, I want to say he like disappears like somewhere in the series, or they just stop paying attention to him.
I mean, at that point, how many kids they got in the house plus Cody? Like, you're gonna lose track of one. And he was forgettable anyway. Brandon is like, come on.
Yeah. We lost
The-
Cody too.
well, Cody, he was off in a van someplace doing some karate kicks, hitting,
Uh,
hitting some hitting some tasty waves, bro.
Beating his wife, bruh.
That's not funny. Cody, shame on you. But
Sasha.
yeah, I mean, what's one to do if you're a writer? You got to figure out something. These episodes have to get made. So, I mean, the quick fix is, hey, listen, bitch, you're gone. And you just figure not even a clever way. You just neglect to write about them ever again. And people 10 years later are like, hey, remember that little brother on that? Like, whatever happened to that guy? And it's just, in the wind.
Yeah. I completely forgot about that kid. Like, oh, we don't care. That's what it was. We didn't care when he was there. Oh, the storylines around him? Like, fuck.
I mean, it's like the one in Home Improvement. What's his face? Mark, the youngest one. They just kept throwing darts at a board. They're like, he's goth. He's this. He's a genius. Whatever. And eventually, it's just like no one cares.
No one cares.
Yeah. It's like it's like Greg the Hammer Valentine or something like that kind of wrestler where it's just like they're out there, they work, they're quality, but nobody responds, Steve.
We only got 30 minutes. Like, we have to reserve most of this for Urkel. So Judy, the F on your report card, I'm sorry. We don't care. Like Urkel needs to break shit and do his catchphrases.
Get in that machine and become cool. Or whatever, go back in time or whatever wacky shit they were getting into near the end.
Be a Bruce Lee or a pirate or Albert Einstein. Yeah, that was an episode that totally happened. A black Albert Einstein. They were just.
I mean, fuck it, Steve. It's the 90s, bro. They were on fucking speed and goddamn Dexatrim. They were just up all night just writing these things, making great theme songs, but some questionable storylines, you know?
Very questionable. Shout out to Chuck Cunningham. Well, hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Mad G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your Casper tapes and your crisscross cassettes, because here we go. Now, party if you hear me, oh, come and hear my love. That's all I got. I don't know too much about that Naughty by Nature album. It's probably my least favorite or one of my least favorite,
That
but
song's fire, though. That song
that
is a
song,
fucking hot fire, Steve.
I added a couple to the playlist, but I mean, it's no hip hop array or OPP. Or, what can you do? Shout out to Tretch, Vinny.
I'm gonna say, you better watch him out. Tretch is gonna fucking chain your ass. Just fucking pull that big ass. I mean, what do you even call that?
With the chainsaw?
I mean, remember that big ass fucking chain he used to wear? It was just like chain links.
Yeah, with a lock on it, I think. I don't want no smoke. I'm a Naughty by Nature fan, but you know, it's art, and art is made to be critiqued. And you know, it's okay to have a least favorite album of a artist that you like, and that's Poverty's Paradise. It wasn't bad,
You
but
still listen, Steve, and I think that's what matters the most. They got the spin. That's what really matters.
that's facts. And today, my friend, we're talking all things May 30th in the 90s. Starting off in 1992, Afterburn premieres on HBO, based on a true story where one woman takes on the United States military and General Dynamics manufacturer of the F-16 jet fighter aircraft that took her husband's life. Directed by Robert Markowitz, starring Laura Dern, Robert Loggia, Vincent Spano, and Michael Rooker.
Damn. Loge.
Every time I see that name, that's the
Like look at that firm handshake, like Burt Reynolds and shit. I mean, again, this movie sounds like a banger. It's got Laura Dern in it pre fucking Jurassic Park. Rucker, goddamn Robert Loge.
Loggia.
Loge dog. So I didn't clock it. It was an HBO Ridge. That also to me points to greatness. So Steve, out of two Robert Loges, how many Loge dogs do we get at this?
It gets 1.5 Loge dogs because it's
Okay.
you know it deserves better than being on YouTube. I feel like when a movie's fully available on YouTube, that the society is telling us it sucks. This movie didn't suck, and it's based on a true story, and I like those. And you know, Laura Dern, she meets her beau in the military, and things are going good. They get married, and then he dies. He dies in the plane in the F-16, and she's doing her research. She is just possessed with like trying to prove like, hey, the narrative was that he killed himself. He did this intentionally. And she's like, he loved his life. Like everything was going fine. Like, no, something's up. But what they find out is that the F-16 was faulty. They said that like around 40 pilots died using this plane. And so Robert Loggia is her lawyer. They go to court. She wins the suit and she's awarded $3.1 million. But at the end, they say that like they reversed it or some shit like that. They never like fully gave her money. So, but
Well,
she
she
still
was going up against the government, Steve. Of course she didn't
exactly
get her goddamn money.
that was the loophole because it was a government contracted company. And I guess when it's like that, it's like, oh, well, we can't do anything about it. Like, eh.
I mean, Maverick and Goose never said anything either, but Goose ended up dead too. So maybe goes all the way up to Top Gun, Steve. Uh, but I mean, the writing's on the wall. You want to sue the government? You're either gonna not get paid or you're gonna be dead. You're gonna get fucking deaded out. So I'm assuming the woman's still alive,
Yeah,
but poor, and that's sad.
it's very sad. And she was getting death threats. Like you said, man, she was getting people following her and all kinds of crap.
Weird that that happens every time somebody tries to do this kind of shit against the government. It's just kind of funny, Steve. But then again, love and respect our government overlords, and I want no problems with them. So shame on you, Laura Dern, for trying to sue him.
Yeah, shame on you. Go get that Jurassic Park paper. But also in 1992, Vinny and Bobby debuts on Fox.
Hey, the show on Fox.
Pretty much, man. And it lasted 7 freaking episodes, man. It's a
Oh,
spinoff. Yeah, it was a spinoff of a spinoff. Like, Top of the Heap was initially a spinoff of Married with Children, which also had Joey from Friends. And then from Top of the Heap came Vinny and Bobby. And Vinny and Bobby is basically Vinny's dad moving out. And so Bobby is his new roommate. And if I'm not mistaken, Bobby is the guy that played on Drew Carey. He was like one of the friends that ended up dating the girl in the crew. I can't call her name.
you think that that's the guy from like Office Space and stuff?
No, it's not him. It's uh
Ryan Stiles?
not Ryan Stiles, and it's not, oh crap.
Diedrich Bader?
It's not Diedrich Bader. It was another guy, and he was like the unofficial crew member. He wasn't Ryan or Diedrich, but like he dated the chick in that for a little minute.
Okay. I don't remember him. He's that forgettable, but he just looks like some kind of Guido with the fucking bad haircut. He looks like Z-rate Jesse, Uncle Jesse from Full House.
Yeah. And this was the glamour shot of the, yeah, I mean, this looks like softcore, like,
Dude, I've been doing tests all week for this shoot, dude. Bumping steroids. I mean, it just sounds generic. Vinny and Bobby, fucking Guido the show. It just doesn't sound good. It wasn't gonna last. And like you said, it's a spin-off of a spin-off.
a failed spinoff.
If you dilute something that much, it's not gonna be good. Anything. Take anything and dilute it twice. What you get's gonna be tasteless and just fucking shitty. So that's what you got. Sorry, goddamn Matthew. What's your face? You got your money. Where's fucking Vinny at? He's probably sucking dick for coke in fucking Studio City.
How you doing? Like, yeah, that just shows the magnitude of Married with Children. At 1993, we would lose American pianist, composer, and band leader Sun Ra at the age of 79.
Rest in peace, son. A very cool name, and that's a cool image. Never heard
Yeah.
of the person. Wow.
Yeah.
Did they hang out with George Clinton or something?
He probably did, and I
Yeah.
was just going to say, he was kind of like maybe he walks or George Clinton in the Funkadelic and P Funk could run.
Okay.
Um, but he was a jazz guy, and he's from that experimental era of jazz where they might have dabbled on a little booger sugar, might have touched on some of that LSD paper.
Okay. A couple of jazz cigarettes, if you will. A couple of little tasty tastes. I get it.
Yeah.
I
So
dig the vibe though. It's almost Egyptian god like motif that he's got going on. He's got a little gold like staff, chain links and shit. I mean, definitely he's pulling something at the end of the show, Steve.
a pioneer for sure, man. Real name Herman Poole Blunt, and his
I
whole
love
thing.
that too. That sounds great too. Herman Poole Blunt. That's that's legendary, dude. This guy's a legend.
And his thing was like avant-garde Afrofuturism. And he combined, he was like a fusion guy, swing music, bebop, free jazz, and
Did he have kind of that Roger and Zapp like robotic shit going on? Did he ever throw that in at all, like the synth?
well, yeah, he was a synthesizer guy. Yeah,
Okay, I'm in. I'm fully in. From the look to the sound, I'm gonna go check it out as soon as we get off this.
some good old Sun Ra. In 1995, Naughty by Nature would release Poverty's Paradise. And as I mentioned, it's not my favorite, but it does have some slappers that I added.
I just
Sunshine.
I like rap groups that like go flow in and out of each other, and I feel like you get that a lot with Naughty by Nature.
You do.
You know,
It's
It's
like a
not,
tag team. Tag,
it's
you're it. Four
it,
bars. Tag, four
yeah, and it's
bars.
seamless. It's not like hook, a couple of bars, hook, then somebody else comes in. It just is like a full experience. And again, Tretch, I remember hearing a lot of fun stories about him. He seemed like a wild personality to be around in the early 90s, living his life.
Well, he was good friends with Pac, so you know, I know they got some cocktails to share.
Hell yeah. And I think Naughty by Nature for a long time is like up there in terms of popularity. I mean, we were little, so it wasn't like necessarily my favorite thing, but they were big for a long time.
Yeah. And solidified, man. And on that same day in 95, various artists released Batman Forever soundtrack. And we just last week talked about Seal's debut album with Kiss from a Rose. The following week, here we are. Kiss from a Rose is on the soundtrack. Damn, the machine is behind the man.
I mean, we get a U2 uh, hit. I like this is one of the few U2 songs I like. Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me. Just sounds cool. There's a really bad Nick Cave song that we just were talking about, but the Method Man song, The Riddler, Hot Fire, uh, Kiss from a Rose, obviously, Offspring's on this. It has like a real kind of eclectic mix. This isn't one type of music, it's like all types of music.
Yeah. And then they got some PJ Harvey, who I believe is like an electronic kind of vocalist. And then Brandy, they got Brandy doing R&B. And
Yeah. It
it's
seems out of place almost for a Batman movie, but again, there's some shit on here where it just doesn't make any sense. But shout out to the Riddler, the Method Man, the video of this
yeah.
is it's awesome because not only does like Wu Tang and Method Man have a lot of like narrative, cool looking shit, they mix in like in Batman Forever, Riddler, Jim Carrey is like has his throne at the end and is like sitting on it. And they mix that in and it looks amazing. It makes me wish this song was playing when that was happening in the movie. It was not. But I've is it 100% great soundtrack? This is nowhere near like above the rim, but
No.
there's some very big bangers in this. And shout out to Seal, because as you said last week, chicks he sings so good, chicks want to lick those scars. So
Oh,
they just love that.
lick on the scar on that same day. Show and AG released Goodfellas. You probably haven't heard of them because they're part of that boom bap era, and I know you're a G-Funk guy. But damn it, if you would just entertain that mid '90s Nasir, Biggie era, man, it gives you underground vibes.
I'll check. I'm in. I'm back towards like the East Coast stuff that I was ignoring when I was younger because it's good. I had never heard of this. When I first was searching today's topics, I actually thought for some reason it was a movie. I didn't even
Mm,
realize that this was music. So I'm ignorant and I'm not going to try to say something about these people because I don't know anything about them, but I'll check it out, Steve.
And,
Message heard.
and Method Man is actually on here too, man. They got Method Man. They have Lord Finesse, who's another dope MC from New York from that time period, man. But yeah, dude, like at this time, it was a back and forth with West Coast and East Coast, and I think West Coast was kind of like little head
I
and
just
shoulders.
think it was better at the time. For me, what I
Yeah,
was looking for, there was like a pimpness to it. There was just the sound that came with West Coast music
yeah,
appealed to me more. You know, there was an epicness to it where and this is a white guy telling you his opinion of stuff, but like I felt like the beats and stuff on East Coast stuff when I was young and when this was happening were more grimy and not necessarily like as epic as the shit that I got when I was listening to like those epic West Coast songs like California and shit like that.
yeah.
So it was just harder for me to get into it, but it was just a matter of taste. And I feel like we were stupid back in the day and like if you chose a side, you couldn't admit something on the other side was good, you
Yeah.
know?
And that's how I felt about East Coast, even though I was a Snoop and Dre fan. But in 1997, Step by Step is airing season 6, episode 13, The Big Date. Al likes the sound of the pizza guy on the phone and asks him out, only to find out that he is obese. Carol is not happy when Dana and Rich, together with JT and Sam, spend the night in a hotel in Chicago after a concert.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of greatness in this, Steve. And it was a lot of triggering. But I gotta say, from a former fat guy perspective, the fat guy in this he's going all wrong. He's going about it all wrong.
He did himself no favors and he's very cringe. More on that later. So the girls are there at the mall and they're talking about guys. Oh, who has the best smile? Brad Pitt. One girl said
Mm.
Paul Newman, shout out Ohio. And then somebody, Al, she mentions Drew. They're like, Drew Carey? No, Drew the pizza guy.
He's got a sexy voice, which is weird.
The fuck?
Weird fucking thing. I mean, who clocks that calling Pizza Hut, Steve? Like, god damn, did you hear that guy? That person's crazy. But I gotta say, at this point, Al has surpassed all of the other sisters. She's hot. She's
Not Dana.
well, I get it, Steve. We all know that's a thing. And I gotta agree, Dana's up there. This fucking Keenan, she's definitely a princess of the 90s. But Al's just into that sexy voice. And she just like it just be he likes cool stuff. He's just, he knows me. It's like, how much of a conversation are you having with this guy? Calling for a large pepperoni and you figured all this shit out, but she's all about it. And then Brendan and Mark come, the two brothers, and they're hanging out with a guy named Jean-Luc, who we know as Balky from Perfect Strangers. I forgot about this.
Mr. Pincho.
He is apparently driving them around half blind because he refuses to wear his contacts or his glasses. And he's just a bull in a china shop, Steve. He's tripping over people. He's acting like he's in a kitchen at one point. He's just all fucked up. And I don't like he's hanging out with just some kids. I don't get that part of it.
He's babysitting because he's a fellow hairstylist, just like Carol. She's a hairstylist, and like they're like he's like her gay friend in a way. Even though I don't think he's gay because he has a child that they talk about in another episode, but that's beside the point. But Bronson, he's showing off his physical comedy as we remember from the Balky days, and he almost actually he does fall over a cliff in the mall.
Mm. Well, this motherfucker somebody needs to get some glasses on him because he's a danger to society. But he's there, possibly trying to run people off the road, half blind. But as he's doing his little wacky shtick, Al's gone. She comes back. Turns out she landed a little date with the pizza guy, Drew. She just gave up a call to Pizza Hut, asked the dude out, which is insane behavior. That's what kind of thirst level are you at that you're calling a pizza place for a blind date? That's pretty fucked up.
That's crazy work. And
but, hey, Steve, if you're a pizza guy, you show up and Al is the one that said, "Do you want to go on a date?" Jackpot, fucking jackpot. I'd be expecting goddamn Roseanne, like something like that.
Somebody desperate, yeah.
But we cut back to the house, and Dana, Stacey Keenan's hot ass, is telling Carol that she's taking Rich, she's talking about her little trip to Chicago with Rich, her boyfriend. And basically, she's just sort of going through the details of this trip. It's an overnight with the boyfriend at a hotel. That's a red flag for a parent. But Carol's like sort of caught up in something. And she just sort of is like, oh, that's cool. Like not really clocking it until the very end, where she realizes that she's basically agreed to let her daughter go on a fuck trip with her boyfriend and her younger son and his girlfriend, yeah. I think.
Yeah.
And they get a whole thing. And Dana's just kind of pissed off that Carol, she's like, why are you even worried about this? Like, mind your business. For all you know, I'm fucking all over this house, is basically what she says. And I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that for you, Dana. Be proud. Pop that pussy. Word to Uncle Luke. And what I noticed about this, man, they have just done away with the theme song. That was a part of the magic. Like as we get to the later part of the decade, man, I feel like the mindset of the sitcom is changing. And it's like
they needed that extra 20 seconds to finish the story. They're like, we don't have enough time. cut the shit. We get it. They're on a fucking roller coaster. Days go by or whatever the fuck. Like, they're like, that's not even the right one. He's like, whatever, it's gone.
Whatever.
That same person that made that call is the guy who put skip intro on the streaming services, because that's basically the thought. It's like, we don't
Well,
need all this. Just get right into the fucking story. We've heard it all.
I'm the one that sticks around for the theme song, especially.
I'm there, Steve. Weirdly enough, me and a mutual friend in college used to have a CD that was all TV theme songs from the 70s up into the 90s, and we listened to it while we were driving around singing to each other. It's weird, but they have a place in our heart, you know?
And
And
that's why
they're legitimately good.
yeah. And that's why we're friends, Matt. And like, so now we know that Al, she's got the date, and Karen, she comes down in her best red dress, looking fine. Yeah, she's still hot. She just ain't Al.
What kind
And
of slutty behavior is this though? She's like, oh, you got a date? Not now, because I'm gonna come in and just swoop in and fucking take the dick. But Drew shows up, and I mean, dude, it's Chris Farley, Steve. This motherfucker has the rugby shirt on from Tommy Boy. He has the same outfit on, and I love 90s fat shaming, because Carol and Al, who were both expecting some hot pizza guy, see this fat mess come in, and like Carol's like, "Oh, I'm not Al. That's your date. I gotta go. I gotta go fucking clean myself."
by the way, I'm always this fine. Bye.
Yeah, yeah. See ya. And I think Drew senses that there might be a little bit of whatever. And he just is basically, he loves self-deprecation, Steve. And he's, I do too. It's great. But this guy he leans into it a little too much. And he basically guilts her, and he's like, "What? I get it. Just fucking going out on a pity date with the fat guy. I suck." And Al, does pity her, but it's clear she's a nice person. And she agrees to go out with him, but he's like kind of like being shitty about it. So it's kind of like she has a gun to her head type. She's just like, I'm gonna do this because I'm not shitty, but you're a piece of shit. Almost.
Like, you don't mind that I'm overweight? Hey, everybody, give her the Peabody Award. Miss Mother Teresa over here. She doesn't mind that I'm obese. Yeah.
She doesn't mind the smell of titty sweat. She doesn't mind that I smell like butter. But we get to the mall, and he's not doing himself any favors, because he brings in dinner. She gets a fucking salad. He gets like 30 cheeseburgers, Steve. I mean, come on, Drew.
He's eating for a football team, man.
Portion control, bro.
Yeah, dude. And then on top of the fat jokes, man, like the little gossip girls that they were talking to earlier in the episode, they walked by and they were like, "Al, are you on a date?" "Yes, I am." Ooh, Shamu.
Yeah, I mean, they're fucking next door. Like, can you believe how fat that fucking fat ass is? That's fucking crazy.
Has he even seen his dick in the last month?
And Drew is like, yeah, it's fine. Like, I love fat jokes. Like, my fucking belt loops have a fucking zip code or whatever his fucking fat joke is. And, Al's like, look, dude, it's kind of making me uncomfortable. You're like, I get it. You're trying to get ahead of the game. Like, this is some 8 Mile shit, but, this isn't funny. And to be honest with you, your vibe, you're being kind of a fucking dick. And he's like, oh, okay, well, fucking maybe this date's over then. And like, again, been fat, was never put in a position like this where you just have some hotties just fall into your lap just trying to go out. He's just fucking pushing this chick away instead of making some funny, fun jokes instead of these fat jokes. But he storms off, takes a cheeseburger, and he's like, you can tell everybody you did your good job hanging out with Fatty all day, and takes like a bite and leaves. Yeah, I mean, dude, come on, dude.
Let me take one more before I leave. Fuck you.
Fucking, you just tell him my name's Fatty Fatkins. I'm going, but it's over. The date went bad. Now Al has to get home from the mall. She lost her ride. And now we go back to the house. And Carol's trying to like basically future cock block her daughter. And she's calling the hotel just to like incite something. She's like, yeah, my daughter's there. And I think she's might be being held hostage in the room. There's some kind of a spill, like toxic spill. Just trying to get people to knock on the door to not have some like fluids being spilt on the bed, Steve.
Well, she wanted the door removed because she said Dana was claustrophobic. And if she tells you otherwise, she's a pathological liar. So don't believe her. She's stupid.
But then Frank overhears all this and he's like, Jesus Christ, like, I'm not really sure how we're going to discuss this at the home whenever I have you committed because you're acting crazy as fuck. And Carol's like, aren't you scared like JT's out in the city with his girl and like something could happen? Like, you know how kids and the bad decisions they make. And Frank's like, I think JT's been instilled with some good morals and he's going to be fine. And then we basically flash cut to JT and he's just straight up like, you know, that thing I was trying to tell you, Sam, I'm ready to have sex. So let's get down. And
Yeah.
fuck the morals.
Yeah, morals. Yeah, this is the same guy who dropped out of high school to work for a used car dealership. Yeah, that JT. And he's a virgin, just like Dana, just like Rich. But we find out that Sam, she's been around the bases a couple times.
Yeah. And he tries to get that number, which is stupid. Don't ask that question, JT. But she's like, look, the last guy I thought I gave myself to, I thought we were in love, and he just hit it and quit it. So I'm not going to have sex unless the person I have sex with is the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And JT's like, do you think it could be me? She's like, maybe, I hope so. And he's like, yes. She's like, but we're not having sex. She's every positive thing where you're like, oh, well, then maybe there's a little opening in that door there. She's like, but blue balls. Okay.
But she said that like I love you more than I loved him. I care about you more than I could ever care about him. All right, so it's a no-brainer. I'm in them skins, right? No, that's not how it works. What the math ain't mathing.
Yeah, what the kind of fucked up math is this? Are we talking the butt then? Is it that kind of math equation or something?
We could be with that.
JT's, but he's a gentleman. He's not trying to force the issue that much, but he's just trying to make sure all the boxes are checked before he goes into the bathroom and jacks off.
By the way, Sam is like Timu Yasmin Bleeth. I've always thought, like with the raspy voice. Hey JT, this isn't the night. No, JT.
Hey JT, maybe you go down and give me a hot seltzer or something and get these panties off. Yeah, she definitely has she's gonna be a bus driver someday, just smoking butts with fucking Kelly Bundy or some shit. But now we cut back to the house, Steve. JT's got blue balls. And then Al is sitting at the house and Drew comes by to apologize. And he's like, look, man, everybody keeps telling me I'm so fat that when I wear a red shirt that you call me Kool-Aid. And I get that you don't like that, but you're a good person. And you weren't embarrassed to be seen with me and my fat ass. So, I'm sorry. And I just wanted to tell you that. I'm going to go. I got to go. I got a couple extra burgers. And she's like, no, Drew.
Get your ass back in here.
Hold on, come sideways because I know you're not going to fit through the door, fatty. She's not saying.
Sidle your ass in here. Penguin walk, goddammit.
And she's like, look, man, I just want to know, why the fuck were you being so mean to me? I mean, I'm hot. What the fuck are you doing, Dan Schneider? I know, you want to see the feed? Is that what it was?
Yeah. You never know. I might have a fat fetish. I kind of want to pull on your pud, but damn, you're so angry. Why are you so angry? Well, I haven't seen my pud in the last couple months. And when I was little, kids would always pick on me and they never want to play with me. So I would just sit by the window and watch them play while I ate. And then I ate more.
And I got fatter.
Yeah. Now that's my thing. I get mad and I eat.
She's like, I get it. Hot Pockets are delicious, Drew, but the guy I was talking to was funny and smart. In between orders of breadsticks and cheesy sticks, he would ask me about myself and who I was as a person. And he just seemed cool. But the real Drew is just a hostile jerk. And, after Drew lays the guilt trip on her, I was like, you know what? Let's be friends. And he's like, even in public, you'll go out with me?
For real?
I mean, dude. And she's like, well, yeah, like maybe we could go see a movie sometime. Which again, Al, holler at me in the 90s because I'm fat and I would have loved to hang out, go to the movies. And you know what Drew suggests, Steve? Beverly Hills Ninja, that classic. He's like, turns out he even name drops Chris Farley. He's a huge fan. And if you can't tell, he's wearing the fucking rugby shirt from Tommy Boy. Look it up.
He totally is. I'm looking at it right now.
So Drew, they're not gonna fuck Drew. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not gonna happen. You're gonna get friend zoned real quick, and maybe help her move a couple of times. It's just not gonna happen. But you got a buddy, and she's cool with you eating maybe the equivalent of 13 cheeseburgers in one sitting.
While she eats lettuce. And by the way, we never see Drew again. So, maybe things just fell off after the movie. And back to the hotel, Rich and Dana, they're in the room, and Rich, he's ready to go to bed. He's like, "You tired? Your feet sore? Maybe you need to get off your feet and get in this bed because you're sleepy, right? Yeah,
But you want to get to bed first, right?
yeah. Let's go to bed."
But I gotta say, Rich looks like a toddler. This looks like child molestation if you just had your glasses off and couldn't see the TV right. Because he's got like this weird kid-like energy. He's small as hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's ready to fuck, Steve. I remember this. I mean, you had to be ready to go at any at this level of life when you were just trying to get the first one off, check mark off. I mean, this was the energy. I get it. But Dana's like, look, Rich, come sit over here next to mom. It's very much that energy. She's like, come sit over here in your weird boxers and gross old man tank top. Um, you know, I just don't think. And then there's a knock, and the maintenance guy shows up that Carol's been talking to. And I don't know if you clocked this, but the maintenance guy is actually somebody that was in that show Workaholics. He worked in the office. He's actually the guy, if you ever saw the episode where they follow the one dude that can suck his own dick.
The
And
weird guy.
Yeah, yep.
Yep.
And he's there to, take the door off the hinges. Dana gets pissed the fuck off at this point. She's like, oh, my mom's trying to interfere with this. Gets the guy out and basically is like, oh, you know what? I'm going to fuck this guy out of spite now because my mom's a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
And, Rich is all about that kind. He doesn't give a fuck about the reasoning.
Yeah.
But,
Sounds good to me.
when he comes out, because she basically sends him to the bathroom real quick while the maintenance guy comes. He comes out, says some of the most, what was it? He says, take me, break me, make me a man. And I mean, if the pussy wasn't dry before that, that's going to put all stops. She might just call the cops at that point. That's weird.
With your wife beater tucked into your lucky boxers. And, by the time he does come out of the bathroom, Carol, she calls in and talks to Dana saying like, you know what? I just called to apologize. I want to protect you, but I realized I was out of pocket. So whatever you decide, I'm going to love you.
And I used to live in a fucking apartment with these two other people, and it was just constant fuck sessions all the time. Me, John Ritter, the other chick.
Yeah.
Why do you think I needed the thigh master? I had to my shit was broken until I got that. I had to work it from nothing back to full health.
Yeah. Jack wasn't tripping.
And so Dana gets off the phone, and that's when, she tells Rich, she's like, look, I was actually about to fuck you to spite my mother. And he's like, oh, awesome. And she's like, but turns out, he's like, damn it. So she's like, you know what? It's going to happen at some point. It just is not going to happen now. And Rich finally just becomes the sweet little boy that he looks like and is like, you know what? I think you're right. And maybe we should just go get that coffee with JT and Sam. And everybody can just be pent up for the rest of the night. Did they all go to the concert together, Steve? Or was JT and Sam just off just in Chicago, just living their lifestyle?
I think that we just joined them after concert. They went to Alanis Morissette concert, which I don't know, that might defeat your fight for pussy going to one of those.
I feel like that could end up being a nice night though, Steve. Because maybe just just the melodies and like the chick getting into the Alanis vibe, like maybe she's gonna walk away just feeling empowered and just like push you onto the bed and get, really like force herself on you at that point in a good way. You know what I
That's
mean?
that's the Dana I like.
Hell yeah. But shout out to Stacey Keenan and shout out to all of the women on this show because at this season, I think it's season 6, they are all right and tight. This whole family of women is just lucky that they're not all impregnated constantly because they're all incredibly sexy.
Yeah. And now the final scene, Sam and Dana, they're in a room and she's talking about how she's not ready to be with Rich and they're eating snacks. And Sam, she's like, you know what? I'm not ready for JT either. And they just like pounding on these chips and Snickers bars and, just trying to fight and overcome their horniness. And Sam says, I think JT's okay with it. And then you cut to JT. He's like, I don't get it. She says she loved me more than the other guy, but she slept with him and not me. And Richard's like, maybe you're just too lovable.
I'm gonna go jack off. Yeah, dude. I mean, that sucks to, this was part of that process, Steve. You thought it was gonna happen. It didn't happen. You thought it was gonna happen. It would be taken away from you for whatever reason. And it was heartbreaking. But eventually both of these guys, I wish Rich didn't. I hate to be a hater. I don't want him to fuck Stacey Keenan.
Oh,
I just don't like that for him. But yeah, man, step by step. I'd like to take a step into that house and party when the Duffy. Also, just to mention the Duffy side of that family, Patrick's side, all
yeah.
a bunch of ugly fucking weirdos.
Except for Al.
Oh yeah, I guess that is his kid.
Yeah.
Oh, it's half his.
Yeah, Brendan and JT. But yeah.
Well, I don't know, Steve. It's not the end of step by step, but it's getting close, All the kids are starting to fuck. There's only so many storylines they have left.
Yeah, that's where things get recycled and all these tropes exist. But on that same day in 1997, Gone Fishing premieres in theaters. Two lifelong fishing buddies must overcome a series of obstacles to enjoy their ultimate fishing trip. Directed by Christopher Kane, starring Joe Pesci, Danny Glover, Rosanna Arquette, and Lynn Whitfield.
What happens when you take 2/3 of Lethal Weapon, mix in a little bit of Home Alone wackiness, and add in Joe Pesci beating the shit out of an alligator? You get this heaping pile of shit, Steve. And I'm sorry to both these guys. They're legends. I love both of them as actors, but this movie is not good.
And they'll agree. They'll agree. They probably wouldn't take any offense because they didn't even want the shit being released in theaters. They thought it was in poor taste because a woman died on the set of this movie, by the way.
No, I don't want to laugh, but that's the most unnecessary death ever, Steve.
Yeah.
For this, what happened, man?
I think it was a boat catastrophe where shrapnel, and it's in the movie where shrapnel and shit. Well, that part's not captured, but like parts of the boat flew up in the air and people were getting blasted. And the stunt woman's dad, I think, was there as well as her husband.
Jesus.
Yeah. And so like Joe Pesci and Danny Glover, they thought the movie sucked. And because of the fatality on the set, they were like, it's better to just release this direct to video or make this a TV movie because it just wouldn't be in poor taste to put this out in theaters. And you're not going to make money off of it because it sucks. They released it in theaters and they proved them right because it didn't even make close to the budget.
It's just not good. It's paced awful. There is no story. It's just two old men that suck at life that have they're accident prone. It's almost like Baby's Day Out with old men, where they're just creating catastrophe after catastrophe. Pretty sure that what you're talking about, where somebody died, is when they somehow loose a boat that's being towed behind a truck on a highway, and it causes a bunch of bullshit. And then they look at each other and they're like, borderline 11. They just have like some old man saying that they say. And yeah, man, it's no shade to these guys. I'm glad that they would share our review of it, but it's just not. In the 90s, I was excited because these two guys were hitters. I was like, Pesci acting crazy. I love that. I love Home Alone. This has got to be just more of that. And it's not.
two things from this movie. Like the alligator scene, there was this part where Joe Pesci's like, "You get it in the nuts," and Danny Glover like, "It doesn't have nuts." Like that part, I chuckled a little. I chuckled a little,
And I
and
do
then,
like there's a scene where they're taking chicks out on a date, or like Pesci goes out on a date and they pour wine in his glass, and it's like a nice restaurant, so it's only a little bit of wine. He's like, "Is that all you giving me? I'm an adult. I can drink more than that." It's very low class. I love that.
their drink. Oh, Lynn Whitfield, she's one of the girls. So I appreciate that. She's always been fine to me. And the other highlight, there's Willie. There's a scene with Willie. Willie
Willie.
Willie Nelson. He
Oh,
shows up. Yeah, he shows up in the end to kind of,
okay.
in a way, save the day. And this is around the time he was in Half Baked, so like he's already been solidified as a legend. But yeah, thank you for that. Like it's like okay, there's some shining light.
I mean, you know what this movie made, Steve? And this is an awful number even in the 90s. They paid almost $55 million to make this and, release it. It didn't even make 20 million back.
Not even half.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's, so we love you guys, but you can't win them all.
But on that same day in 97, Trial and Error premieres. Poop Sausage, an actor poses as a lawyer to help his sick friend and problems develop. Directed by Jonathan Lynn, starring Michael Richards, Jeff Daniels, Charlize Theron, Jessica Steen, and Rip Torn. How dare y'all?
It just doesn't. This is another one. Hyped all shit because it's got Kramer in it. It's got the dude from Dumb and Dumber, which was basically what Jeff Daniels was at the time. No shade to him or disrespect. And this is just a fucking stupid fucking movie, Steve.
Horrible.
He's Jeff Daniels' buddy. They go out, get sauced. Jeff Daniels can't go to court for the most important case of his career. He gets so drunk the night before he can't handle himself. So Kramer has to fake being him and win some case, and hilarity ensues, Steve. You know what's a better fucking comedy in a courtroom? Jury Duty with Pauly Shore. And that movie sucks a big old D too. So that just gives you an idea. And I'm sorry I'm so heated.
I'll still smoke a bag of that. Yeah, I don't really care about Pauly Shore movies. But what pisses me off even more so than any of this, it's a improper use of Rip Torn.
Yeah.
He
And
didn't.
Jeff Daniels. Don't
Damn.
fucking disrespect that man. He's out here acting his ass off in a movie. I would have refused. Once you saw what Kramer was bringing to the table, I would have been like, guys, you can't have salt without pepper. Like, we got half a movie here. This guy's a piece of shit.
Charlize Theron with her spooky fine ass, she's in it.
I love her. She's hot, Steve. I know you have a weird thing about her, but I don't know what's going on. But I don't like a lot of things from South Africa, but she's okay. I'll take that.
Yeah, I can't knock that, man. Wouldn't kick her out of bed, but yeah, she is a weirdo. And like, Alexandra Whitworth, I think that's her name from In Living Color. She plays Jeff Daniels' wife, but like along the way, Jeff Daniels meets Charlize Theron, and like he has a thing with her, and it's like, damn. I, I'm sorry, Alexandra Whitworth. You're not bad to look at, but you're not competing with Charlize.
Yeah. I gotta go. Fuck it. See, I love that. This guy who's gotten to the top of his profession in law somehow fucks his whole life up in the course of this movie. Leaves his nice wife for a hottie that is just out of his league. Hangs out with Kramer for a night, fucks up his whole career. And I think a lot of people probably did that in the 90s, Steve. You hang out with Michael Richards one time, all of a sudden your fucking life's in the shitters.
Cancel them. That following year, A Bright Shining Lie debuts on HBO. The true story of Army man John Paul Vann, whose military success provided him the fulfillment he never found in his personal life. Directed by Terry George, starring Billy Pax, Amy Madigan, Vivian Wu, Donald Logue, Eric Bogosian, and Kurtwood Smith.
Yeah, I mean, Red Foreman's in it.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton, God rest his soul. He is the best Bill. It's not Pullman, it's Paxton, and he's the shit. This movie, this is a war movie, more about like the politics of war. I think like something shady's going on in Vietnam, like they're misrepresenting casualty lists or something.
Yeah.
And he's sort of bringing light to that. Uh, I can't really say too much. I've seen this, and I love Bill Paxton. I love Donald Logue, the Tao of Steve. He was in Blade also, if you remember
Mm,
that. He was one of the
dude.
vampires.
Yeah.
But this is just like one of those like cerebral war movies. It's not about like seeing the battles, which you see. It's more about like shenanigans, like the higher ups and stuff like that, if I remember right.
And ironically, this was released on HBO on the same day as Afterburn. It's something about May 30th in HBO. Like we're due for another war movie.
I mean, if you think about it, though, we're getting close to like a Memorial Day, which obviously it's like
Yeah.
uh, so maybe that's why. But uh, anything with Bill Paxton as the lead, you got to check out because he's a badass. He'll give you some drama, he'll give you some comedy, and it's all going to be good. So that's the only thing I got to say about that. That's all I have to say about that, Steve.
RIP to that legend. And that following year, in 99, Parenthood is airing the season 5 premiere, Hood Sweet Hood Part 2. TK's revenge plan leads to Robert being shot and comatose.
Yeah, we get some crazy moments in this that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
And as we start the episode, we get a little bit of a recap because it's a two-parter, obviously, and we're coming in from last season. And Tyrese and his very hood buddy that I didn't catch his name,
From
Rob
Tales
T.
from the
Yeah, yeah, but he's crazy as fuck. And TK, they rob TK, and what's the kid's name? The fat kid?
Nicholas.
Nicholas. They rob Nicholas at gunpoint. Take fucking Nicholas's. I think he has like a necklace or a watch
A
or something.
watch.
Yeah,
His grandfather's watch.
yeah. So he's kind of got like a Pulp Fiction thing going on. But then TK takes it upon himself to go get a gat. He gets his ass whooped too. He's looking all rockied. He's got like a big shiner, and he comes back, confronts the hoods. Tyrese also has this weird thing under his lip that I didn't respect. I didn't like that.
That was a 90s thing. He's got like when the guys were having like lip or what do they call it? Is it lapel kind of?
Lebray or something like
Yeah.
that.
He's got one of those,
He's
man.
punk, Steve, but the other guy's more dangerous. And in this confrontation, Robert shows up, the parent of the Parenthood, and he basically, initiates a peace. He's like, "Look, man, TK, we don't fuck this, fuck these people. Let's go." TK puts the gun down, and as they're leaving, the crazier of the thugs pop some shots. And I guess that's how last season we didn't know what happened. We thought maybe Robert was dead.
Or TK. I don't think they even showed who got shot in the cliffhanger, man. But like DeAndre Bonds, that's the guy from Tales from the Hood, and he always plays like, you know what I'm saying, like this West Coast kind of gangster. You know what I'm saying? Don't be no Mark ass Mark, or no trick ass Mark.
Got you, cuz. Did it? I mean, Tyrese looked scared. I mean, but this guy's crazy, Steve.
Can we mention the third guy in this dangerous crew? Like
I didn't even clock him. I was looking at the LeBray piercing too much. I was like, Tyrese, what the fuck the guy you doing out here, man?
Yeah, the third guy didn't even match, but the maniacal laugh in slow motion.
So he popped off. I don't know what that guy's name is. We're gonna call him Crazy Town. Crazy Town shot up the whole shebang bang, and now we're on the episode. It's current times, and we're at the hospital, and everybody, Jerry, Zaria, everybody wants to know, is Robert okay? Where's Nick's? Like, what's going on? And TK comes out, and he's like, look, yeah, Robert's cool, but before any else other than that, not my fault. Okay, this shit was not on me. So I didn't respect TK for that. Like, just give him the news. You can worry about the guilt trip or whatever, the blame game later. Maybe just tell him the first part.
Yeah. And Jerry's not trying to hear that shit anyway. She's like, oh, really? Robert, he came to save you from some foolishness, and now he's in ICU, so it's not your fault. Boy, get out my way.
Yeah, the females of the family are pissed. But we go into the room. Robert is in a coma. It looks like dude got shot in the head. I mean, everybody's jumping to that conclusion because he's got his head wrapped up, like he's got a head injury. And Jerry's like, "Oh my god, he was shot in the head." And then I gotta say, I don't know who the doctor is. Very cool customer. He's got a great voice. He's like, "Yeah, he's in a coma."
Anthony
Sexy.
Dick Williams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's very cool about it. But turns out Robert wasn't shot in the head. He got shot in the ass. And when he got shot in the ass, he fell down and hit his head. Now he's like $1 million babied himself. He's in a coma. And Jerry's like, "How long is it going to last, Doc?" And he's like, "Maybe a day. Could be longer than that. I got to go." And that's it, Steve. We don't
And
know what's
Jerry,
going on.
it just like now by herself with Robert, she has a moment. She's kind of breaking down. And then like the kids, they come in, they're like, is dad going to be okay? And they're just like, I don't know. And like outside in the waiting room, the TK offers to give the kids some money for the vending machine because they're hungry. And Zarya's just like, nah, keep your money. Get the hell on. Why are you even here? Here, Nicholas. Here, Cece. Have some money from me.
Yeah, and TK's like, like, what's up?" And she kind of goes in on him. And then Jerry comes out, the mom, and she's like, "You're a fucking dumbass. We gave you all the chances in the world, and you did this. You brought this into our house. So you need to pack your bags and get the fuck out. Bye, TK." And obviously, they're all pissed off. So we cut back to Robert's room, and Jerry's just sort of talking to Robert while he's comatose. And the doctor comes in and is like, "Visiting hours are up," which is crazy. And she's like, "I'm not going anywhere." And the doctor's like, "Well, let me just make, he's very cool about it. He lets her stay." And she's basically has a breakdown in the room. And this is where it starts getting kind of wacky, Steve. Jerry's breakdown ensues. And then Robbie has like an out of body experience, comes out of his body, and he's met by an angel who's just a fucking chud, Steve. I don't like the angel. I don't like his act. I don't like his attitude. But apparently Robert's dead and it's time for him to go to heaven.
Oh my God. And he's trying to talk to Jerry and Max. That's the name of the angel. He says, like, she can't hear you, man. You're like, it's time for you to come with me. And you kind of dead now. So like, say goodbye. And he goes through the wall. It's like, well, shit, we can do that. He tries to go through the wall and he bumps into it. It's like, oh man, maybe you need to do some homework before you get to this level.
Yeah, man, you got to try. It's like Swayze and Ghost. You don't figure out all the tricks right away. You got to have a little bit of get that manual they gave out in Beetlejuice. And so then we cut to heaven, and heaven's just a line, Steve. I love that. You get out, you die, you get to go to the promised land. You have to wait in a fucking line.
It's a long list, man.
Yeah. But Robert's, he's got Max the angel with him, and he's kind of getting schooled. But as he's waiting, I mean, he's seeing some legends. Jimi Hendrix walks by, Bruce Lee walks by, and he's like, "Wait, is that my third grade teacher? He made it into heaven?"
If I see certain teachers up there, if I go up there, I'll be kind of pissed. But
Yeah, Mrs. Phipps, fifth grade, Woodland Elementary. If I see you up there, I want to come back. I want to be in limbo. Fuck all that.
Miss Wolliver, yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But they got Miles Davis and Dizzy Gillespie having concerts, and apparently they got John Wayne rapping. Man, like, are you sure this is heaven?
Yeah, I don't like that. With
Yeah.
Tupac Shakur.
Yeah.
Shut up, Max. But we get in. Max is like, "Look, man, like, I'm not the one that decides this. You got to talk to Mr. Jordan." Mr. Jordan's up checking the list, and Robert approaches and is like, "Look, I appreciate the hospitality, got this concert and whatnot, but this is a mistake. I got shot in the ass, so maybe check the book." And Mr. Jordan checks the first book. He's not in it. Maybe it is a mistake. Then he pulls out another book, and I don't know why there's so many books, why they even use this kind of technology to check lists like Santa Claus, but Robert's not on that list either. So this was a mistake. And it turns out Max, the angel, he's been making a lot of fuck ups like this. He pulled some stunt guy who was doing a stunt jump off of a building into heaven prematurely. And now this is his second fuck up in a week. So Robert does find out he gets to go home, but it can't necessarily just happen because there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of ins and outs that have to happen before they just let you go back into your body, Steve.
Yeah. And I miss my Uncle Charles, dog. And now we cut back to the house, and Zarya, she made burgers and fries for the kids.
Mm.
And I don't know if you noticed, there's a burger goof where like Nicholas, he takes all of Cece's burgers and fries, and then you come back to Cece, she still has a burger on the plate. Little continuity error on their part. But anyways, the kids are concerned. And Robert, he shows up as a spirit. They can't hear him or see him. And he's just like hearing all the talk about TK and how he needs to go and this, that, and the third. And Nicholas comes clean about breaking Robert's new golf club. Zarya comes clean about actually going to the club when she was supposed to be going to the record store. But Cece, she's just daddy's little angel.
Yeah. And Robert clocks that, sees how harsh that Zari is to TK because TK does show up and is there. She's like, "You need to leave now." I forget exactly what she says, but it's harsh. And even Nicholas is like, "Yo, that's crazy harsh."
Yes.
Like,
Slow it
I
down.
was with them. Like, we got robbed, lady. Like, it's, there was some shit going on. So Robert's spirit hears this, especially the Nick part or the TK part. And he's like, look, like he has like this moment where he's like, they need to hear the right thing because they're fucking up. So he can't do anything except put his spirit into his son. So his son basically becomes a vessel and is like, yo, TK is a good person. They were being way too harsh, and says all the things that Robert wants to say. And Robert comes back out, and everybody that heard this is like, yo, you sounded like, I guess they heard their father's voice. I don't know. But I'm not going to be the same after that. Like, Mom, I think Dad's alive, like in the spirit realm. Like, I don't know. Get an exorcist.
Once we figure this out, we need to take Nicholas to that same place Beetlejuice went to so we can get some shit figured out. Because this ain't, yeah.
Yeah, dude. But it gets through to Zarya, and she's like, man, I think I did fuck up. But it's too late. Like, TK's gone now. So that happens. We cut to the hospital again. And Robert's still in the coma. He can see himself. He can see Jerry, but there's nothing he can do. And, he wants to tell Jerry, like, everything's going to be okay. He's having, like, he just feels guilty. He can't say anything, but it's just not time for him to get back in the body. So as he's sort of dealing with that, TK comes in and sits down next to Robert. Jerry's like in the back someplace, I guess, just like in her own world. But TK lays it all out and is like, look, man, like when you guys took me in was the best day of my life. It made me a better person. And above everything else that I'm losing now, like, I'm going to miss being your kid more than anything. It's just like, it's very sweet, Steve. I teared up.
And I don't need to tell you about good people because I've seen what you've done with your kids, and I'm gonna miss you. I love you, Mr. P. And those were the words. That's what we needed. That was the spinach and Popeye's
Poopy trail.
Yeah, man.
So Robert wakes up. Jerry comes forward, looks at TK, and is like, look, man, like, I know my husband would forgive you, and I'm sorry because what I said was over the line. Like, that, my bad. Like, I don't want you to go. So makes amends. Robert's back. Zarya comes in. Zarya apologizes to TK, and all is right with the world, Steve. But I love Robert gets up, not just happy to see his family. He's like, hey, Nicholas, I know about the golf club. Like, wait,
Zarya,
what?
And Zarya, I know about you going to the club. And Cece, you still my perfect angel.
And he's just glad to be home, Steve. And he looks over at TK and he's like, TK, water under the bridge, bud. Let's all go home. My ass hurts.
Yeah. I love how they just brush off a gunshot like 90 sitcoms, man, and make anything wholesome.
But it was a good episode, Steve. When he possessed his son, that's where it kind of got a little crazy. But I mean, they pulled it off.
Yeah.
I love that little fat Nicky with Robert Townsend's voice.
Very good.
His fucking eyes in the back of his head and shit.
And shout out again to Robert Townsend, man. When it comes to independent filmmaking, he's a pioneer. I feel like doesn't get enough credit. Like he did the Hollywood Shuffle in the '80s, and then of course he did Meteor Man. That got panned, but I'm a fan of it because of all the celebrities that showed up in there. Five Heartbeats. On top of just being a pioneering comedian, stand-up comedian, man. Uh, and shout out to Zaria for being so damn hot. One of my '90s hotties.
Yeah, she's definitely a hottie for sure. Little harsh, little fucking harsh on TK, but you know what? You go get a get your dad shot in the ass. I mean, you gotta have a couple of harsh words for that guy, you know. But TK, he learned his lessons, dude.
Yeah, just they had like a John Witherspoon, Lawrence Fishburne, Ving Rhames moment. Give me the fucking gun. It'll be all right.
Shot me in the ass, son.
But any callbacks, honorable mentions, or takeaways?
I just want to shout out to all the females of Step by Step because in watching the show in this season, I realized that I probably had three crushes because we had Suzanne Summers. I'm becoming as much of a fan of Stacey Keenan as you, and Al, Steve, little sexy tomboy for Matt Geddick back in the day, and she's into fat dudes. Just
Yeah,
would like to tell Al and all those ladies out there, if a fat guy, if you're interested, fat guys love to eat pussy. So just shout out to all those ladies out there.
how are you ranking the uh I can't even call their last names, but how are you ranking the girls on Step by Step, including the mom, Carol?
Oh man, that's tough. I mean, Carol's gonna be, she's not top of the heat, right? She's second. So I'm going Al first. I'm going finished product when it's appropriate that we're talking about it. And this is my taste, Steve. Al, Carol, then State, then Dana, but she's climbing the ranks, Steve. The older she's like a fine wine.
She
The older
is.
she gets, the
Yeah.
sexier she gets. And then Karen at the bottom, because Karen, she's a hot chick, and I never vibed with that type of energy too much. So, and she
Yeah.
wouldn't have thrown. She was not into fat guys. We saw that on this episode. So, that's my list, and I'm sticking to it, Steve. How
I
about
can
you? I want to
I can
hear your
respect that.
list.
I gotta go Dana and then Suzanne. Oh, yeah, yeah, no. Suzanne Summers, give me that season. And then Al, and then I gotta go Karen. I mean the fact that her character's name is Karen doesn't help matters,
Yeah, that's
but
tough. That's a tough one now, especially. But they're all beautiful women. And in some weird porno situation where it wasn't inappropriate, I'd love to be in the mix in that, where it's me delivering a pizza, perhaps, and then they take over, Steve, you
and
know?
RIP to Suzanne Summers. You've always been fine, even going into your older years. It's a shame she's not with us anymore. Same thing with Suzanne Douglas, the mom from Parenthood. And I, even as a kid, I had a crush on her. I always thought she was bad. And then of course Zaria, and even I used to follow Cece, the actress who played Cece. She's grown into a beautiful woman, and she's got kids of her own now, man. But the thing I watched over the week was the special on Peacock about the 1990s Yankees. I feel like for any sports fan, any baseball fan, even if you can't stand that team, check it out because I didn't know how much of a shit show they were having with Steinbrenner in charge, and he was sending out spies on Dave Whitfield. Like they had a back and forth because his contract was too high. He didn't want to pay, and that was a thing. And it forced Steinbrenner to being ousted from the league. He would eventually come back, but that's just a part of it. They had like a child diddler on the team,
What
and
the
he
fuck? It wasn't Don Mattingly, was it, Steve?
Don Mattingly is in the he's in the documentary, but it wasn't him. He was like one of the like solid ones on the team. He was the veteran, the captain, but the guy that was the diddler, he's actually in jail now, and they interview him from inside the jail. Um, I can't. His name is Mel something, but yeah, he was a piece of shit. On top of being a diddler, uh, You know, he was a bully to his teammates. But also 1990, they showed the draft that they had, and it's like you could see pieces of a dynasty being formed. They're about to get Andy Pettit. They're about to get Bernie Williams. They're about to get Posada. They're about to get the closer, who they consider the greatest closer of all time. Just I'm at a
What
loss.
didn't they have Ricky Williams for or Ricky Henderson? I mean, Ricky Henderson for a while too.
They had Ricky Henderson for a while, but I don't think he was a part of this era.
Yeah,
But they do talk about Deion Sanders because he played for him. Deion wasn't available to be interviewed, but like he was on that team in 1990, man. Very interesting series. And it's only 3 parts, but I watched them all in one night, man.
I'll have to check that out. That is interesting. Anything with Don Mattingly, Steve. Ever since he was in that episode of The Simpsons where he was on like the team for Mr. Burns. Shave those damn sideburns, Mattingly, you hippie son of a bitch.
With Ozzie Smith and shit.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's cool, dude. I'll definitely check that out.
But please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please tell your sister she's a hoe. Now tell me that she's a hoe. Yeah, hear my flow. Yeah. And please check out Food Show Fanatics with my guy Matt G and Kendra B. And check out our guy Clark the Shark on podcast. So this is Steve G and Matt G with Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the flat kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
I'm not black, I'm OJ.